Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Planet Lizzdom. It's season 2, episode 11. I am so excited for tonight's episode. It is a pre-tape, but I have the greatest butterflies. You know, sometimes schedules don't align, but when opportunity knocks and one of your favorite artists from a band that you have loved from a long time, from across the Atlantic Ocean, 6 hours ahead of you, follows you on Instagram and TikTok and starts talking with you, and all of a sudden is probably the coolest person you've ever met, well, you have to listen to that opportunity. And I had the greatest luck in landing an interview with him about a couple of weeks back. We did a pre-tape on Zoom, so I'm so excited to replay it for you. Now, this is a pre-tape, but it is live, so I encourage you guys during this interview, please hit the comment section because I will post them. And he will watch them later. So without further ado, I'm going to do my best to make this transition as smooth as possible live. I want to introduce all of you to Mr. Martin Bowes from Attrition. Here we go. Let's see if I can make this work here. I don't have a stream deck for that yet, but here you go. Enjoy. Afternoon.
It is, yeah. I'm just looking at the time.
Oh, it's probably about 1:55 p.m. there?
It's exactly, yeah.
Wonderful. It's 8:55 a.m. here, and I've had 2 coffees.
Oh my God, I don't even get up at that time.
I have to laugh this morning. My cat decided that I should get up at 5:30.
Oh God, I had a cat that did that.
Bless their hearts.
Haven't got a cat now.
Oh, yeah, life with cats is very interesting, that's for sure. Well, listen, Martin, thank you so much for sitting with me today. I really appreciate it.
That's all right. I've just looked. It always looks dark in my house. Is it lighting it? It's about the best I can do, right?
In my house here, I've tried to make it as dark as possible in the back room, but all the sunlight's coming through, so this is the lowest I can get the aperture.
Oh, well.
Oh, well, what can we do? You know what? As long as the audio was good.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you're in Coventry, England right now, correct?
Yeah.
Now, have you, during this pandemic, have you left Coventry at all to travel?
Yeah, I have a bit, but I mean, it was awful. What, about 2 years ago, isn't it, really?
It really was.
Yeah. And then I couldn't do anywhere, and I was living here on my own. It was awful, really.
Oh no!
Yeah, just for a bit. But yeah, I did. I went to, after a while, I got to visit some friends around the UK, but nothing else really. I was used to, we had a big South American tour cancelled and loads of stuff. So it's just coming back now.
Now, I know for us here in Toronto, Canada, it was March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, that we officially went into lockdown. And it's remarkable. I know for myself, I've always been very fascinated and interested in dystopic fantasies, futuristic dystopic fantasies where a pandemic happens or a zombie apocalypse happens or something bizarre happens to the world, very popular. But as soon as it happened here, it was a little too close to home. And all of a sudden I didn't like it so much.
Yeah.
You were saying that you had this wonderful tour set up and, all of a sudden the pandemic happened. How was that for you to have that shift?
It was like the same for everyone really. It was quite shocking, but and yeah, there were the gigs, so I just had to do other things. I was going to take up painting again because I used to paint in school.
Oh, marvelous!
Yeah, but I hadn't done any for like 30 years because I decided I'd rather do music and I hadn't got time for both. I thought maybe that's when I retire, that's a good thing to do. But anyway, I didn't do that. So I started to make videos. So I just I started buying bits of kit and then doing the lockdown and trying it out, learning it. So I did do something positive and not just drink beer. Which I did as well.
Well, you have to.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you managed to still be creative because I know for some artists, they just couldn't lift a paintbrush, they couldn't pick up a pencil, they couldn't, strum their guitar or do anything creative. And yet, here you are and many of my other artist friends they did something new. You know, they challenged themselves.
Yeah, I did find, because I'm still finishing the latest Attrition album, and I did find I couldn't really write songs. I got a bit lost with that. So that's why it was good to do something else. So the song I had got called The Alibi I released it was a single really. Some mixes that came out last June. That's where I made my first video for it. So
that is so cool.
It's really hard work actually, but it felt like when I started music, when I didn't really know what I was doing, but it was more fun. And as you get better at it, it becomes less fun sometimes because it becomes more serious. So,
absolutely.
I had the feeling of when I started. Yeah.
Well, do you ever find that you go back to your work and, you know, because it is a progress, it's an evolution. Do you ever listen to earlier work or look at any of the videos that you've created and think, you know, I would have changed that or I would have done that differently?
In a way, I think if they're fairly recent, if they're say like 5 years, you know, that's fairly recent, I think, isn't it? Then maybe. But I think when I hear some of the first things we ever did in the 80s, and of course there was things where we hadn't got any good facilities or no time to record, but they've got a sort of rawness and something about them that I love, and I wouldn't want to change that. I wouldn't want to. It would be a bit ridiculous to go back and kind of make it somehow perfect, you know, not really.
Well, it's kind of like what they did to Star Wars, you know, it was beautiful.
Oh,
it was.
They had giraffes and things.
Yeah,
Like that.
Like, why I know.
I know.
Now, something I wanted to touch on very, very briefly, because I think it's really important, is that from what I understand, in the 80s, you were making a zine, a fanzine. I'm trying to remember what it was called. I think it was called Alternative Sounds.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And I'm so interested in that because, you know, I'm an artist. I make zines as well. And I love the DIY organic nature of it, you know. I think you made about 15 issues out of it. That's really cool.
Yeah. It was 1979 to 81. And it was kind of like, I wanted to do music, but I wasn't a musician. I'm still not really a musician, I think. But I was an artist, you know. So when punk inspired me, I wasn't ready to actually do my own music. I wanted to get involved. So having done art, it made it a lot easier to do a zine and do the layout. You could just like write out, you know, whatever you want. And I found that it was easy and got people involved. It was good. It was also that DIY thing. I think I've always had that, and it's come back really with people doing their own releases and online. And I think that was a good background in that, rather than later on we had bigger labels release stuff and they did a lot for us. But I always kept my own hand in as well, and I think some bands don't, and they get a bit lost when they have to do it themselves.
That's true. That's a very good point. You know, I really appreciate the DIY nature because you're right. It does keep you very connected to the creative process.
Yeah.
To finish.
Bit of a punk thing, really. It's about doing it yourself.
Absolutely. Do you get out the glue stick and rip it and cut it and burn it?
I did, yeah, and then get them printed and staple every one. I used to have 1,000 copies of some of them.
Well, it's hurt by the end of it, right?
Yeah, I'd be on the floor like banging this thing and it'd keep jamming.
Or bribe your beer to help you assemble.
Yeah. But it was a good time here in Coventry. I was here then, and it was when there was a lot of bands, and there was the Two-Tone, the Specials, and the whole scene. So I used to interview them and that was so. It was a good time actually. So at the start, and then I'd send my fanzine to other fanzine editors, and most of those that I know are in bands ever since. You know, it was just.
Oh, fascinating! That's very cool.
So there's a whole network. There's a network. Yeah, it's good.
Well, it's remarkable how music and art is so interconnected, and the art on your album covers is beautiful. I wanted to talk about that. I mean, the art direction again is very much like your music. It's organic but industrial. You know, I love the use of different pieces pieces of found objects?
Yeah. I mean, I don't usually, even though I did art, because I hadn't done it for years, I felt that the artists I've started to get to know, they're the ones where I felt it reflected what my music was like. I rather work with them because I thought they were better than me. They work, that's what they did, and I think they are.
That is a typical artist right there, I'm like, I want to see what your hand has made, because it's not my hand making it, so I'm automatically more interested in what I'm going to see.
Yeah, that's a different element as well, and it gives, I think it's good to work with, it's great working with other people and then putting the two arts together, the music and the visuals. So, but it's been different people over the years, because I think I've worked with someone for a few albums and then I think, it needs to change now. It's not new and it's not exciting me the same. So, that's why.
Fresh.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I really enjoyed what you sent me yesterday. Marvelous. I really like that track, Acid Tongue.
Yeah, that's always been quite popular, that one.
Yeah, that one always stands out to me. Every time it comes up, I'm like, Acid Tongue, I love this, But I do like the different, the various moods of your music, because it can be so pared down and so abstract, and then it goes into this wonderful beat that's just so pulsating, and you're all of a sudden you're on a musical journey, and you're not even really aware that you're on this journey until you're in it.
Yeah, I've done some soundtracks, like for films. We did a horror film soundtrack.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then some short things I've done. But the horror film's the soundtrack's called Invocation. And we've just performed it here a couple of weeks ago, actually. That's a set, just purely ambient, dark ambient, spooky sounds, which I don't normally do, but every now and then I really like to just be outside the box a bit. We got to play that in Transylvania in 2018, and that in the mountains, and I wanted to go and tell my 14-year-old self that had just read Dracula that's what I was going to do.
Wow,
I believed it.
Yeah, teenage goth me right now is flipping out. Oh wow! And this actually is it brings me to a really interesting question that I love to ask everybody, and it's about living history. When you were doing that, did you have a moment where you realized or thought to yourself, I am doing something really memorable here, really cool and historical?
I think I often say to people about travelling, and I've done so much with the band, and I say it's great if you go to somewhere, I could name anywhere, can't I? Wherever, Hawaii, let's say, only because I've been there, but it's great as a tourist, of course it's great, but if you go anywhere and you're putting something into it, some art or whatever it is of any kind, something creative, then you've become a part of the culture of that place you've been to. So it's more of an exchange, not just a tourist paying to see something. And I really like that, and I think it's really important.
Absolutely.
So yes, that's kind of like your question.
Well, and I was creeping your profile on Facebook, as one does, and I did notice that you are very engaged with your fans. I kept seeing photo after photo after photo of your fans, and I thought that was really wonderful.
Yeah.
You being a turkey?
I get the impression you're very approachable at your show.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm usually on the merchandise store or something. I can't get the staff, But of course, there's no reason not to be. If you're someone that's really famous, it just gets too much. I guess that then I have to hide away. And there have been times where I've just thought, I'm going backstage for a bit, where it's a bit, chill out a bit. So there is a bit of that, but that's not being unapproachable. That's just, you need a break, don't you, really?
It's true. At some point, you have a bit of space.
Yeah, but I'll talk to anyone,
Well, that's marvelous. Thank you for being so giving. I mean, right now I feel very comfortable chatting with you. I truly appreciate that.
Yeah, I like the head in the little frame behind you.
Oh, right here.
Right side, I think. Yeah, that looks cool.
That is actually a wax replica of Vincent Price's death mask.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell it's him, but yeah.
If I'm brave enough to take it off the wall because I don't want to break it, I'll show it to you in a bit.
Yeah.
This is our shooting studio here. My boyfriend is a mentalist magician, and he and his business partner will do their virtual shows from here. So we've kind of set it up in a magic room.
Cool.
So let's see if I can turn this way. So there's all kinds of stuff behind us here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm liking your studio. That's a beautiful death mask.
It's from Venice. It's one of those. Yeah, I like Venice one.
That's a very, very cool. Now, I went to, just to give you a bit of history, I went to school for integrated media. So I started learning how to edit and do that on analog machines.
Yeah.
And I'm so curious to know about the evolution of your music from analog to really virtually digital now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. When we started, actually, the very first lineup of Attrition was guitar, bass, and drums. We didn't even have a synth for about a month, and we did some gigs, but yeah, they weren't very good. But then we got a synth, and then gradually a drum machine. But so I mean, guitars are analog, aren't they? Yeah. But yeah, we started to get analog kit, drum machines, and synths, of which we've still got one or two. Great, lovely. In fact, they still sound good now. The old 808s and Korg MS-20s, I think. And then, cheaper digital things came out, and we got into that. Computers after that. But now it's weird. I mean, that's all great, but sometimes it loses the spontaneity when it's all programming in mouse clicks. I think that's probably in anything.
Sure. Well, and that's also, when you're photocopying and there's a degradation in the visual image.
Yeah.
With analog, you get that degradation as well.
Yeah, certainly with tapes and things.
Oh, yeah.
But now I've been buying, there's loads of new analog kit come out, electronic instruments. So I've been buying, and they're quite cheap.
Oh.
So I've been buying quite a few things, and so I've still got the digital, because obviously digital's good for things. It's great for editing and mastering and making CDs or whatever you need to do. So you need that. It would be ridiculous if everything was analog. I think it'd be difficult. But
yes,
now I like the balance. They're both. We've got both. Same with the record, like vinyls back. That's analog, but you've still got streaming and CDs and. So you've got everything.
Well, and this is an interesting question I have for you, because I know in North America right now, a lot of younger kids in their 20s are getting back into cassette tapes.
I know they have here. We've had a couple of releases where someone put out like an old, it was actually an old cassette that we did in the 80s, and they say 3 or 4 years ago we had a couple out reissued, and they sold really quickly. And I think it's crazy because you could get it on a CD and it'd be much better quality or something, or vinyl now as well, some of them. But I don't mind. I mean, anybody who wants to buy music, I don't care what type of plastic it's on.
Absolutely. And there's something so magical about the mixtape. You get it from a friend, and you're like, oh, that's the coolest thing ever. You made that.
That's right, yeah. Now it's a playlist, isn't it, really, on Spotify or something, but it's not quite as personal, but that's what people are doing.
Now, having, starting your career in the late 70s and, being a band in the 80s to the 90s, did you ever make mixtapes for friends? Like, did you have time for that?
I used to get them. I always remember getting them. I did a bit, and I started teaching music technology at the college here. That was 95. I started there, and then I used to play electronic music to the students that they'd never heard of, you know. I don't know, because I know lots of obscure electronic music. And so
I know about here's Coil.
Yeah, actually that's a good example. Yeah, Coil was one. So I'd do little collection, you know, compilations for them. I think it might have been actually on a cassette, but then it would, because I didn't have a CD burner then, so it would have been a cassette, and then later on a CD. So. And then I sometimes did them to go on tour with in the tour bus. That I got a collection I'd done. Did them for me really. Then.
Gosh, I remember traveling carrying a backpack full of tapes.
Right, yeah.
Because you couldn't just have one tape. You needed a selection of music.
Yeah. It's definitely, I mean, they've sort of come back actually. The mixtapes, more people doing them again.
Well, I feel like there's this resurgence or revisiting of DIY. You know, even just like putting out the songs or making, you know, fold out art to go with the tape.
Yeah.
You know, the tactile nature of it, I think, is what people are craving again.
Yeah, I think that's in a lot of things. I think that people, it's great. Computers are great. They do lots of great things, and we hate them as well most of the time. But it does miss that personal thing, and I think that you get fanzines being printed again and being more popular. And in fact, the Alternative Sounds, which I stopped in 81, 2017, I started it again, but mostly as a CD of local Coventry music with a little fanzine with it. So,
that's marvelous.
There's been 4 of those. But
are those still available for sale?
There are. There's some left. Yeah. Some of them sold out, but I'd have to. It's on Bandcamp, Alternative Sounds, actually. I can't remember exactly. I'll have to send it. But and I've got a couple of people that help me because there's no way I would have time to do it at once. But I did a bit of that, and we've used the funds to help local music and things going on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Well, now that things are perceivably opening up, you know, people can go back on tour again. What is your coming year looking like for you?
Well, since they opened it last September, we did our first show in Coventry, and then November we played Whitby in Yorkshire, where the goth festivals are. This was a different festival. There's loads of festivals now. It was a different one. And then 2 weeks ago, we played in Coventry. And then we've got others coming up. The guy that did the South American tour was talking again only yesterday about looking at setting it up again. So I've got to look though, because I don't know. I'll have to check. Some countries might still be a bit hard to go to. It's easier for us in the UK to play gigs here now. Because there's no restrictions anymore.
Okay.
Although things get cancelled though when people get COVID, because bands. I was going to see a friend's band recently, and then they got cancelled. One of the crew had got it, so they're still a little bit risky. But yeah, we were talking. There was a couple of people in Europe I was talking to, and then the South American one. But it's all at the moment. There's no actual dates, but at least things are stirring a bit,
Yes, I feel that stirring.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, we've also got that stupid Brexit thing that happened, which means it's harder to go to the rest of Europe,
That's right.
Yeah, and that's been a bit forgotten because of, everything else between COVID and the Russians, I think. Yeah.
That's a very good point, actually. I had actually forgotten myself.
Yeah, and it would affect someone coming, let's say, from Canada. They might get into the EU countries, but then, they perhaps want to play London, most people do. But then there could be a problem because it's a different territory. And
of course.
It's stupid, isn't it? But it's a backward step.
It's true. I find the modern problems that we have for travel and, moving around are so quickly changing. I've had to learn so much about getting PCR tests done in advance, different fly restrictions or requirements per airline. Every airline seems to have their own policies and procedures.
Oh yeah, and each country has different forms to fill in. And
Oh my
I guess that'll get easier. With COVID, it'll get easier. I think it'll start to just be like another flu or something.
I sincerely hope so, because
Yeah.
I just like everyone else in this world, I am ready to move forward. I'm so excited spring summer, because things are going to open up, and I feel like everybody is so ready to get back to it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yes, there's been a few shows on here, and they've been really busy, which is probably a little bit scary. In fact, there was one I didn't go to the end of last year. I thought, no, with that new, when the Omicron thing came, I thought, I'm not going to a packed venue. It's not a good plan. But now I do.
Yeah, well, we did it before, and I think you're right. It's very much like a new strain of flu.
Yeah.
Vaccines really work, and
yeah, I've had all mine. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm full of the G5. I'm good.
That's right. I've got all my chips implanted.
Well, I know when I was a kid, to go to public school in Toronto or in Canada, you had to have this little report card that showed all the different vaccines that you got for polio, rubella, this and that and the other.
Yeah.
And this is just another one on the list.
I know. Yeah, it was. Yeah, and it got rid of polio and smallpox and all these horrible things, but they're not here because of vaccines.
Well, that's it. They actually work. It's wild.
Yeah, I know. I think smallpox vaccines were started at 1796 or something. I might not be exactly right, but so it's not a new thing.
No, not at all. Now, with things opening up and travel and that sort of thing, is there anything on your bucket list that you're hoping that you get to do, either creatively or just for vacation?
Well, I actually would like to go everywhere in the world where they're not killing each other.
Yeah.
That's the thing at the moment. We toured in Ukraine and Russia. I'm not doing that now.
No.
Certainly not Russia anyway, even when it gets better, I don't think I want to. But there's all that sort of trouble. I'm probably not going to go on vacation in Afghanistan or Syria. There's a lot of places you can't go, but they'd be fascinating. But I've played in 4 continents. I've got around a bit. So there's a few places.
So which places are you hoping to get to tour?
Well, I haven't done a lot in South America, and that's why that's cancelled tour. So I hope that gets replaced, because we've only been to Brazil. We went and did a festival 10 years ago, and Mexico we've played, but there's obviously a lot more countries there. It'd be nice to go and travel around. So that'll be good. I was talking about Australia. We went to New Zealand a few years ago, but not Australia. I guess I'd go to China. I don't know. I'd go anywhere.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, it's much easier to travel these days in terms of transportation. Like, you can get a flight almost anywhere these days.
Yeah, and it's not too expensive usually. Not compared to what
Yeah, it's not better.
Yeah, it's good. I just love seeing the adventures and meeting people and discovering things. That's been one of the best things about doing music, I think.
For sure. Well, I don't know about you, but I love a good tour story. Were there any moments, in your wonderful history of touring that happened that you just couldn't make it up?
Of course, there's lots of them. Someone asked me yesterday, I did an email interview. People say, what's some hilarious thing? And there's loads, but it's so weird because they kind of get buried in a little bank. And when I get asked, I can't think of anything.
Of course.
And then if I'm with someone that used to be in the band and we sort of had a beer and we start chatting, we go on for hours laughing about all these ridiculous things. So I don't know. I think it's just, it's been amazing to go and play in Hawaii, and I got Trans-Siberian Express through Russia to Siberia, and we had to jump out in 5 foot snow at 5 in the morning.
What?
And that was one of the gigs, and then they offered us vodka.
Oh yeah, you better.
Yeah, but I had to play a gig later that day, so I had to be a bit careful. And all that sort of thing that you feel like you're on a documentary, you know. And yeah, it's I don't know. It's just been amazing, and you know, I wouldn't have had life any other way. I'm still not giving you an exact story apart from a couple of things, but I'll keep thinking.
Oh, for sure. Well, it's you're absolutely right. There is this huge bank of stories, and it's context. It's absolutely context. You know.
Yeah.
You know, if you start talking about food, like, oh, that time that we ate that crazy thing in that crazy place, then all of a sudden you have something with context.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's true. I mean, when you've lived such a storied career, you know, of course you're not going to be able to pick it up immediately.
No, well, I'm writing a book. I haven't really started it yet, but I'm going to do a book because I kept everything since the first gig, the little flyer.
Really?
And all the flyers and posters and reviews and cuttings. I've got, like, it's not going to mean anything, but I've got a big boxes full and photos, and I'm going to do a book, and I think I've decided maybe some vlogs, maybe like a YouTube thing, because I'm going to interview the bands and the labels that we were involved with, and so, you know, we're on the same label or tours, and so I'm going to do that and make it into. So this is my retirement plan.
I love it.
So I thought, well, I might as well wait till I've got more time in a few years, and then I'm going to do a book, and it'll have So it'll be attrition, but in the context of the scene, really, which I think will be more interesting but more relevant. So that's when I'll have the stories. So you'll have to wait.
Well, I can be patient.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought if I'm going to interview people for the book, I might as well record it at least on audio and put it out. You know, perhaps it could be a podcast or something. But so I thought I might as well do that as well. Yeah.
Well, and you know, again, a nod to technology. It is so accessible to everybody now.
Yeah.
I mean, look at us. We're sitting on opposite ends of the open, having a real-time conversation.
On Zoom, which I never go on. This is my second Zoom, I think. Because during lockdown, I just thought, you know, people did some performances, didn't they, live streaming. And we did one for Infest, the industrial festival here, and it was cleverly called Stay Infest, I thought. But we did one where we did some of that invocation thing, but don't tell anyone, it wasn't really live. We just recorded a bit and then put the visuals and sent it. So it wasn't a live Zoom thing. Still was quite fun. But I just didn't like doing them. I thought, I'm not going to sit here in my studio. I couldn't even get all the band around because you weren't allowed to meet with anyone. So I don't know. And I thought, it's not worth it. So I didn't get into that. I didn't get into the Zooming, streaming. They put me off Zoom. But.
Well, it's such a different experience, you know.
Yeah, it's good for interviews. I don't know if it's that good for performances, but because you've got no interaction.
Well, that's it, because you don't have the audience to feed off of.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It's great for a pre-recorded performance.
Yeah.
But the problem with Zoom is that you can't really play music with another person on a different tablet because there is a slight delay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So sometimes it can be a little bit problematic because sometimes the feed will back up a little bit, and all of a sudden it'll go, you know, and audio is just, it's a bit of a nightmare. But it's great for interviews, it really is, you know.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I mean, I remember at the turn of the century, which is so wild to say, but the turn of the century, and I remember thinking, you know, what are some of the things that I would technologically love to see happen? You know, I always, you know, I'm in a store, I hear a song, I'm like, man, I wish I had a way to know what song that is. Oh, Shazam. We have
Shazam. Yeah, that is good.
I wish there was a way that I could talk with people in real time, from far away, and all of a sudden we have things like Zoom and WebEx and all the streaming apps, StreamYard, and you name it, and it's the sort of thing where it's becoming better and better and better with things like Facebook and Twitter and things like that, where it's more accessible to everybody, and it's a new tool. It's just a new tool.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, I used to use Skype a bit, actually, but I don't
Skype is
use
pretty
it.
good.
I hear a bit much now.
Yeah, and it's interesting. And just like any other technology, phones or CDs or MP3s, there's always a wave of preference. Zoom is great now, but what's coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, that's good.
As a musician and artist, I'm sure you have different programs or different tools again that are the preference right now, but maybe something down the line is going to be more to your liking for various reasons.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, I use so much of it in the studio, and like I said, I'm in the attic actually now. This is my attic in my house. I converted it for a studio. But,
I literally just looked around you to see it.
I might be able to. Hang on.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Get a little.
Oh wow.
I don't know what you're seeing actually, but yeah, and then a bit more. Oh, that's me in the way again.
Terrific. Wonderful space.
It's not everything, but so then I have my office, which is just my other computer with all my artwork, and that's in the ground floor, so it's 2 floors. And I do it on purpose because being here all day, I don't want to be stuck in the attic all day. It'd be like I'd go mad. I'm already a bit. And so I just run up and down this stairs 2 floors all the time with files on a USB stick. But I like that.
It separates it.
Yeah, it's good. So, the technology, I mean, it's always I try and keep trying, there's always different social media things pop up, and like my son did really well on TikTok. He does rap. He does really well. He had a big hit, really. He had, I don't know how many, 12 million streams or something.
Wow.
He's only 18 and made a lot of money.
You know what?
He's still doing it. Yeah, he's still doing it. So Junior NRB, it's called. But it's like rap, UK rap thing. So he does that, so I thought, well, I better try TikTok. But I couldn't understand it. It's just people jumping around. But it doesn't have to do that. So I finally got it sussed out, and I've got a few little short videos of just usually me making some weird noises. But I thought, well, you need to have a business card in every window. That's what I think.
Absolutely.
And you never know, do you? I mean, when MySpace was great, and then this Facebook came along, and you didn't know that you needed to jump onto that.
Absolutely. I wonder if Tom still has any friends. Do you remember when you joined MySpace and your first friend was Tom?
Yeah. And it was still going, wasn't it? It was bought out, and it was there for years, but all different, and you couldn't. I don't know. I mean, it was good at the time, though.
It was. Do you remember that you could code your page? You could, choose the colors, the music, and you really, you could spend 3 hours just changing the wallpaper.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you can do that on Bandcamp, actually. I suppose that's a bit of a throwback for that.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
That was a thing someone told me about 10 years ago, that American friend or fan or whatever, and try this, it's really good. And I thought, well, is it worth uploading all? I don't know, because there's lots of companies did it.
Yeah.
It's become the online indie store for indie music, really.
Yeah.
Great.
Bandcamp is wonderful. It makes music so accessible for everybody.
Yeah. And you can I can put like live recordings on it that I wouldn't actually want to press into a record or something, but I think, well, some old cassette from the 80s, I thought, either do that or you're going to throw it away eventually, so might as well make it up out there, and that's the ideal way to do it. And streaming as well, I do that.
That's true. is there, with the streaming, like, do you have a preference of how you like to put your music out outside of the studio? Like, is Bandcamp really kind of where you're looking at?
I do different things. I mean, I've got my own label called Two Gods, but often I'll license music to other labels that have basically got more money and all press things and just, so sometimes I like, we just did this new vinyl, the Great Desire collection, which is out on a US label, Sleepers Records.
Yeah.
So they just asked me, we'd love to do a collection of your early stuff. And so, yeah, I did that. And then I get, instead of getting royalties, I usually say, send me some copies. And then I'll sell them on the Bandcamp and gigs and whatever. And that works quite well. And then I'll do other things on Bandcamp. I'll put it through my digital distributor for all the streaming. And then obviously gigs and things. So you just use whatever, all different ways is best, and I find streaming's good. A lot of people complain about Spotify, but I think they forget it's really more like radio play payment, which I get as well, but
yeah,
it's been really helpful. I get a nice bit of money every month from them. Not anything like the son got. I used to give him all the money because I put it through my distribution, and I obviously didn't take any money, and I did the mastering for him as well.
Oh wow!
And then I'd go, here you go, Jordan, and he's like in 19 or something, and he's only 20 now, but I'd say, here's your £8,000 royalties from Spotify for this month. That's what it was getting like at one point, and I'd have £100, but I'd think, well, that's all, that's better than nothing.
Wow.
But, yeah, and it shows you that with Spotify, it isn't that bad. It's just most of the people that complain aren't very popular. I think that's really more than it. Or have a really bad record deal.
Oh heavens.
Yeah. So no, it's interesting though. I just like to see what's happening. I find I do quite like the business side of it. It's kind of interesting, and I don't make a living out of Attrition, but it does make a third of it. Because I do a lot of the time. I'm in the studio here.
Yeah.
I'm mastering or mixing for other bands and labels.
Oh wow.
That's kind of my day job, really.
That's a pretty good day job.
Yeah, I still complain. Everyone complains about their job, don't they?
Oh my gosh. I think you are not human if you're not complaining about your day job.
That's right. But no, it's good. Because I used to teach part-time for about 16 years. And then they were closing the courses, just not getting funding now for things like that in the colleges. So I just went self-employed 11 years ago, actually. And I thought, I'll just do the studio. And I don't know why it worked, but it did. So I'm quite happy with that.
That's marvelous.
That's my life, really.
That sounds like a pretty good life.
Yeah, there are other bits to it. Can't talk about them all online.
No. Yeah. Well, I mean, it is absolutely normal to have those moments where you're just like, I need this job. I need this job. I need this job.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are moments where you're like, I have to perform tonight. I have to perform tonight. What do I have to perform tonight?
Oh, I know. Actually, I love getting a gig and I love doing it, but just before it, I get a bit anxious. And I always think, why am I doing this? What's the point?
Oh my gosh, I've had that.
Doubt thing, but I think that's just nerves before a performance, which is normal. And I think that you need to have them because that gives you a bit of a buzz when you actually go on stage. And the worst thing would be to come on like you couldn't care less or something.
I absolutely agree. I get a little nervous. I start to feel cavalier. I'm like, where are those butterflies? I need to feel a little bit of nerves.
Yeah. I still get them, but yeah.
Just a little.
That's first. I mean, at first it was awful. I was so shy anyway when I was a kid. So I think you get a lot. That happens quite a lot, I think, with musicians. That I think it's something that you force yourself to do. get over that.
Absolutely. Well, being shy, because I grew up very shy as well. Did you find that you could exist as a completely different person on stage?
Yeah. I think it's there's definitely a part of me that, not just on stage, because also in the studio it comes out, but then I think it blends more the more you get older. It's just homogenised. That's a good word.
That's a good word. And you also get to a point where you just don't care anymore. You're like, this is me.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, do you find that there is a certain freedom in growing older, not necessarily wiser, but having practice in life,
I'm wiser, definitely. I think you just get used to it. I like being the age I am. I always have, whatever it's been. I think it's a lot of people go, oh, I'm going to be 40 or 50 or whatever, and they're all upset. And I think, no, you only get 1 year once, so just enjoy it. I think of it like a record collection. The bigger it is, the better.
Oh, I like that. I like that. I'm going to use that.
Yeah. That's
I like bigger record collection.
The richer it is, maybe, rather than the better. But yeah. So I know I'm always happy with it. I feel a bit sorry for people when they get so upset about a decimal number. And if your age was in hexadecimal, you wouldn't be that age. You'd be a lot younger.
Well, also, there's the notion that you worked hard to get here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's true. I'm very proudly 45 and a half.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. I worked hard for that, and I wear it like a badge of honor, because you're right. You only get 1 year at a time. Yeah. It's a gift.
That's right. Not everyone gets all of them, So.
It's true.
Yeah.
I like that I'm a record collection.
45 and a half RPM.
Yeah. I can't wait for the greatest hits to come out.
Yeah. Best before.
Oh yeah, my best before. I don't know when that is, but we haven't hit yet.
That was I love Crass, because I always liked punk bands. And Crass, best of Crass was called Best Before 1984, because that's when they split up. But I thought that was a great time.
That's very clever.
Anything they do is great. I'm a bit of a fan.
Now, this is actually you're bringing me to another great question that I almost forgot to ask. Being a musician, I'm sure you're just saying now that you love Crass, which is nothing like Attrition at all.
No.
Are there any bands that you love that are so completely the opposite of the music you create?
Well, just to say about Crass, I mean, we had a track on one of their collections of new bands in 1984, and the music is not like Attrition, but the sentiment is, because I believe in a lot of things that they believe. So, and although it's more surreal in the lyrics of Attrition, it's there, so not as totally different as you think.
Okay.
But yes, I mean, I was inspired by punk music, so I heard the Sex Pistols, saw them in '77, and the first band I saw was the Stranglers, actually, that year. But it totally blew me away, and that was me at 18, being that's me. That's how I feel. I'm angry at things. But then there was post-punk, so then you got Joy Division and Public Image and Magazine, and then things like Kraftwerk, the early Human League and things. I saw the Human League support Susie and the Banshees in like the 70s, and it was, I thought, wow, this is the future of music. Yeah. It's kind of gothic and industrial, actually, but it's a punk gig. It was showing, so there was all that. It was an amazing time, actually, especially in the UK. I think one of the best times for the new sound. So I was influenced by that, really, and that's more like Attrition. And Cabaret Voltaire was a big one. So, and that's more like how Attrition started. And I also got into more things over the years, classical stuff.
Well, I could definitely hear the influences for sure,
Yeah.
I think, when you love music and you have that capability of variety, in your tastes,
Yeah.
you can really recognize the influences there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Absolutely. And that's something that I really do love about Attrition. You know, it's not just singular. You know, there are so many different layers to the music that you're creating, and again, different moods.
I mean, in some ways, it's hard then to become commercial. That the popular bands are always more, oh, this is a dance thing, or a hard rock, or a techno-y. You know, there's all different. Whereas Attrition's a bit of different things. So sometimes it's bad for getting popular, but I don't care. I'm not going to do it for that reason. And then other times it's good, because when things go out of fashion, we don't go out of fashion because we were never that much in, you know. But loads of things are good. I'll tell you, one of the best things that I've ever had is my song, A Girl Called Harmony, is probably the most well-known actually of Attrition. And there's at least 2 women I've chatted to only online, because they're in America. They're called Harmony because their parents named them after the song, and that's the best review I've ever had, I think.
Oh wow, that's
amazing. Yeah, one of them I keep chatting to occasionally, and she'll buy the new records and things. It's lovely.
Well, that's cool.
I like that. Yeah,
that is a high compliment.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, you've been brought into their lives, you know, in the most elegant way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've always.
That's so cool. Like that makes me very happy to hear.
Yeah, it's great.
Absolutely. Well, Martin, listen, I want to thank you so much for speaking with me today. You are so delightful, and I feel like I could spend another 3 hours chatting with you right now.
Yeah, probably can. We can always do another one sometime, can't we?
I would absolutely love to.
The new album. I'll get the new album. It's called The Black Mariah, but I've been really bad at finishing it, so it's 2 years late with COVID. But that'll come out later in the year. Maybe that's a good time.
Definitely. Well, please keep me posted. I love to promote everybody, and I'm so happy to promote you. I think you're just so talented and just so giving. Absolutely. And I really look forward to re-listening to all the wonderful things that you sent me yesterday.
Okay, yeah. And I hope to be back in Toronto before long. Toronto. Yeah. It's because I've been there quite a few times now, but that all got stopped, obviously. But,
when you come to Toronto, let me know.
Yeah, we'll do, of course, yeah.
Absolutely. We'll go for a pint.
Oh, definitely. There's some good pubs in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Nearest to English pubs I've seen anywhere. Yeah.
I'll make sure you wake up with a bit of a headache the next day.
Okay.
Martin, thank you so much.
Thank you, Liz. Bye.
Let's see here. I'm going to press pause.
All right, we're back. Every time I watch this interview, and I have watched it a few times, I've just been so amazed by how giving Martin Bowes is, and I'm so happy that he took the time to speak with me. Martin, when you're watching this later, thank you very, very much, and I do look forward to you coming to Toronto soon so we can go for those pints. Jules was right. This is a great episode, so thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Of course, you can always watch past episodes of Planet Lizzdom on Carney Show on Twitch. For those of you who don't know, Carney Show is broadcast out of New York by Jeff with a G. He makes really great content, and I encourage everybody to go over to Twitch and check him out. I also want to play one quick commercial before we go from the wonderful Rochelle Squiddings Mark II, because quite frankly, she's also amazing, and she made a new commercial this week. Check it out.
Join me, Rochelle Squidworks of Squidworks Media, every Thursday on Twitch, starting at 4:30 p.m. till 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time for live art, eclectic music, fun facts, visits from my many pets, shenanigans, and more. Also every last Friday of the month for Paintin' and Drinkin' with Rochelle Squidworks, where you tip me, I drink tequila, get drunk, and paint Nick Caged cats, while my good buddy DJ Mark Grimace spins a killer DJ set. For more multimedia art, check out squidworks.com and follow on social media at Squidworks Media. You can also follow me on YouTube for past recordings and playlists. Don't forget to subscribe and like. See you in the channel.
I am also on Patreon, guys. Feel free to support my show. Anything that you can donate to me once a month really helps me create great content for you. So please come check out my Patreon. I will see you guys next week when we have the amazing Marley joining us, an amazing local musician, and I highly encourage you to check her out. In the meantime, stay tuned, turn on, and take part, because you truly never know who's going to land right here on Planet Lizzdom. Have a great week, everybody.